Thou shalt not practice without a metronome. This is so important. Rhythm is so important. And once you practice something wrong once, you're going to play it wrong almost all the time. Commandment number 10 is thou shalt not practice quickly. Aesop Perlman signs people's papers and their programs and stuff like that. Instead of saying practice makes perfect or best wishes, he writes practice slowly. And this is so important. Along with Commandment 10 is Commandment 11 and 12. Do not play a piece through, and thou shalt not practice at a quick tempo. As I stated before about Aesop Perlman, if you play something very quickly, your ears will know that it's quick and it'll remember that you played it quickly, and you're going to have a really hard time fixing it. You shouldn't play a piece through without taking off sections, because then it just leads to rushing and sloppy playing. And as eager as you may be to play the piece, you're going to have a lot of regrets when it sounds really sloppy and you have to go back and do everything again. So let's say you're playing a piece, and depending on how much you practice, let's say you practice an hour a day, take about 3 days and play the piece very, very, very under tempo, and then kick it up a little bit and kick it up a little bit. It'll be a lot more worth it in the long run. Commandment 13 is thou shalt not learn a piece by listening to the CD first. This is another crutch. You'll start mimicking that habit. So let's say you're walking around the house and you're not looking at the music. Let's say you have a shift to third position, and you're just listening to the piece, and you're walking around and you're playing it, and you keep missing that shift. When you go and play it for your teacher the next week, you're not going to know the shift, and they're going to be very angry, or they're going to be disappointed, I guess. And it leads to being very sloppy and not very aware. So I definitely would not recommend you walking around the house and playing without the music, because you miss a lot of the important things like dynamics. Commandment number 16 is do not pizzicato in your lap. Along with the muscle memory is the fact that when you put pizzicato in your lap, you have a position like this. And basically that teaches your elbow, which is part of your muscle memory, to remain very, very back. And when you play violin, you need to have your elbow under. So although you may seem like it's kind of oblivious and innocent, your body is learning to keep your elbow back. So when you're playing like here and your elbow's back, you're going to have a very hard time shifting. Commandment number 17 is do not slouch with playing or cross your legs. When you slouch and you play, that leads to a lot of bad posture, and your sound is very, very bad. And also, you develop habits kind of like the muscle memory I was talking about. Commandment 18 is do not get frustrated. If you get frustrated and you slop through a piece and you play it really quickly through, you're going to get even more frustrated when it doesn't sound good. So have patience, patience, patience. The key to violin is patience and practicing slowly. Commandment 19 is do not play a piece without perfecting the rhythm. If you can't play a piece by clapping the rhythm through, you shouldn't be playing it on the instrument until you perfect the rhythm, because bad rhythm leads to all sorts of problems that are very hard to correct. Commandment number 20 is do not point your F-holes away from the audience. When you're playing a concert, you need to make sure that your F-holes are facing the audience, because that's where the sound comes out. So if you're playing and you're going this way, the sound's going this way, and the audience isn't going to hear you. And they're going to think either, number one, that you're a really, really soft player, and that means you're not confident in your work, or number two, you don't have knowledge of where the sound's coming out, and that means that you don't have knowledge of your instrument. So make sure you do that. Commandment number 21, thou shalt not know dynamics. When you're reading through the music, which should be on your stand, make sure you don't ignore things such as dynamics and accents, pianos, fortissimos, crescendos, diminuendos. Make sure you pay attention to those, because when composers write, they want you to do that because that's how they wanted it to sound. They're not just there for artistic purposes, for whoever wants to play it can. They're there for a reason, and you should really pick up on them. Commandment number 22 is, thou shalt not know the name of the piece and the composer and even the arranger, including opus number. A lot of times when you take auditions, if you do not know who composed your piece or when it was written or even the opus number, and you just start playing it, that shows that you don't really take care of what you're doing, and you don't really have the complete package of vast knowledge that you're supposed to be having when you play a piece. If you can't say, I played the Vivaldi Concerto in A minor, third movement, and you say who was arranged by, if you can't do that, that's going to be a really big problem, because that shows that you're just interested in going straight through the piece and not knowing who composed it and the vast work that you've been studying. Commandment number 23 is thou shalt not play on copied music. I actually have a pretty funny story for that. I took an audition once, and I was playing on copied music, basically in a photocopier. I mean, a lot of teachers do it and they don't realize it, but just kind of like how stealing music isn't good by downloading off of sites and stuff like that, you really shouldn't copy music, because that is copyrighted material and people wrote that. Going back to my audition, I took an audition once and I was playing off of copied music, and I had also ordered the piano part, which came with the violin music and the piano music, and the teacher said, where's the music? And I said, it's on my stand. And she said, no, where is your music? And I didn't pick up on it until she was looking at my music, and she didn't consider my copied music, and she said, I'm not hearing you until you have real music. This is illegal what you're doing. And so I luckily had it in my bag to pull it out, and I was like, I explained to her the situation, and she said, I don't listen to people that play on copied music, so make sure that you play on music that you've ordered from publishing music sites. Make sure you do that. And the last commandment is thou shalt not write in your music with pen. I don't know if that's really a rule, but it's kind of like a preference. If you write in pen, there's no room to erase and your music becomes very messy. So I definitely recommend writing in pencil. Hope this helped, and if you have any other ones to add, please feel free to.